Hi, hello. My name is Emily, as you may or may not know. And today, every day things seem to be happening. End of video. No, today is going to be a chit chat video about pop culture moments, okay? And it seems that, the life cycle of things that last in the news or on social media, it tends to be very quick, that we kind of forget how many things have happened within, a pretty short span of time. So at first this video was going to be about solely the year of 2025, but then I thought to myself, why don't we get a little bit more ambitious, right? Why don't we up the ante and do moments from the last 5 years? Look at me! The last 5 years. Theater kids, sound off in the comments. And as I am filming this right now, I haven't even finished writing all of my thoughts on all of the events that I have listed because I fear this video was a little bit too ambitious. So we are going to start with some notable moments from the year 2020, that oh fateful year, and then work our way up to this year before sending everything off, letting the past go, putting everything behind us, and entering 2026 and the new year, but not quite yet. So yeah, no need to get on those resolutions now. You don't have to start going to the gym. You don't have to start being nicer to people or saving money, whatever. Although you might want to start saving money now with today's sponsor, Rocket Money. As I'm sure many of you have noticed, things seem to be getting more and more expensive, and saving money every day throughout every year is basically always a goal of mine. Frugal queens, rise up, right? With my sponsor, Rocket Money, you can get a singular view of all of your finances by securely linking your accounts like checkings, savings, your investments to create a dashboard where you can keep track of all of your money. You can have a bird's eye view of your finances with high-level and in-depth account insights, which is great for me personally, so I don't have to be logging into my different accounts to stay in tune with my finances. Because I personally have savings in more than one bank account, to spread them. Spread eagle, right? And with Rocket Money, I can see all of those numbers in the same place, which is really nice. Rocket Money also automatically tracks your subscriptions and puts it in a singular list for you. So that way you don't lose track of all of the different things you're paying for, or you don't feel surprised at the end of the month where you're like, what is this $15 charge for? And then an amazing thing about Rocket Money is that you can cancel these subscriptions within the app with just a few taps. And isn't that a blessing? Right? Because sometimes trying to cancel a subscription on the company's actual website, it is like trying to do a jigsaw puzzle blindfolded and you're trapped in like a memory foam mattress. It's impossible. There's also been times where I sign up for a free trial of some subscription-based service, and then the free trial, it escapes me. I forget about it, right? And then I end up being charged. But with Rocket Money, it makes it a lot easier to make sure that doesn't happen because they have all of your subscriptions lined up for you. Rocket Money can also help you create a budget plan for you to reach your financial goals. And you can even sort things by category so you can see where in your life you're spending the most money and know, okay, so that's an area I need to prioritize when it comes to saving. For example, for me, I don't spend too much money on things like clothes or designer brands. That's not really my thing. If someone asks me if I want to go out to eat, the answer is always going to be yes. I love going out to eat, and that's my vice. With Rocket Money, you can receive weekly or monthly spending reports, so you can actually see how much money you're spending, and that can be very helpful for holding yourself accountable, because you might not feel like you're spending a lot of money, but when you see everything together, oh mama. I know for me, it's easy to spend money and only look at the individual transactions as they're happening, but when you see them all added up, oh girl, Rocket Money, thank you for making me aware. But if you want to start reaching your financial goals, make sure to go to rocketmoney.com/notevenemily to get started for free. You can also scan the QR code or click the link in my description and unlock even more awesome features when you sign up for premium. That is rocketmoney.com/notevenemily, and thank you to Rocket Money for being today's sponsor. Anyways, back to the video. So today it's kind of slumber party vibes, right? Let me say this right now. this is not a serious video, okay? This should not be used as a resource for any sort of information about a particular event or celebrity or person, all right? I know sometimes I really dish it out with the sort of research-based videos. This is not that. So a lot of these moments, you know, they always say, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. For some of these moments, it's kind of giving the opposite, right? Cry because it happened and then smile because it's over. Anyway, 2020, starting off strong. Imagine celebrity song cover. People got so mad at this video that there were multiple articles about it, one of which is an article from theslate.com. The headline says, "A video of celebrities singing Imagine so bad it can bring us all together in hatred. 22 hideous performances ranked." Right? But let's just get this out of the way. Video starts out with Gal Gadot. Already I'm pissed, right? So this article starts out, "It's nice to see everybody come together in a time of crisis. And for once, regardless of age, gender, race, faith, or political party, we can all agree. Gal Gadot's video of self-isolated celebrities singing Imagine is one of the worst things to have ever happened." In the video, which Gadot posted to Instagram on Wednesday, we see Gadot sing the first line of the Treasley? John Lennon song, and then it cuts to Kristen Wiig, and then it cuts to Jamie Dornan, and so on, right? And this is really interesting to me because it's like, I understand what they were trying to do. I don't think they were trying to be rude, right? I don't think that they thought that the video was going to have the reaction that it had. But also at the same time, considering that we were experiencing a global pandemic, I don't think people were in the best mood. I feel like for the people involved in this video, this was plausible worst case scenario, right? Of course, hypothetically, everything can always be worse. I mean, you could say, okay, well, you know, everyone hated it and thought it was annoying. That's not actually the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario would be if it incited World War III and the world exploded and everyone fucking died. And it's like, okay, yeah, I guess that's worse. But is that really realistic? No. Best case scenario, Nobel Peace Prize. I want to play the video, but I don't actually know how much of it I can show without being copyrighted. But then again, they're singing so off-key, maybe it won't get copyrighted. So let's try. Okay, so this is from CBS News. 25 celebrities sing Imagine in isolation, creating a moving montage. First, let's start off with Miss Zai Zai. Imagine there's no heaven. Okay, it's worse than I remember. It's worse than I remember. Okay, and here's the thing about wanting to be an actor. If I ever had to work with any of these people, it's gonna be a bit awko taco. But not everyone in here. Some people, like Kristen Wiig, I like her. There's people I like in here, but Gal... Easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Okay. Imagine all the people. All right, Hairspray. For today. Right, I think I've had enough. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I feel like in an alternate universe where I am an A-list celebrity, right? If they asked me to be in this Imagine cover, all of you are giving a very grounded, solemn performance in front of a plain background. You're not wearing like a ton of makeup or anything. Me, this is, okay, POV, I am in the Imagine celebrity COVID song cover. Imagine all the people living for today. Yahoo! Wow! Imagine there's no war. Do you think the video would have been received better by the public if that were included? Living for today. Anyway, so the next thing I have on the list is Tiger King release. I feel like this show is very definitive of sort of the beginning era of the pandemic where we were all sort of like, so how serious is this thing? turns out pretty serious. And the funny thing about Tiger King is that I did watch the entire thing and I couldn't tell you a single thing about it, right? First of all, we got a tiger. We got tigers. There's a king. That's pretty much where my knowledge ends. So I'm just going to read a synopsis of all the important things that happened during the first season so we can go through it together, because I have a feeling that a lot of us don't really remember what happened. Okay, so thank you to Cosmopolitan, you sexy girl, for this article. Tiger King, a complete reminder of all the Series 1 drama. I'm gonna read this. Okay. Number 1. Huh? Joe Exotic accused of a murder plot. Was I not paying attention? The premise for the series hinges around the fact that Joe Exotic, is that his real name? Did I, not watch this show? Okay. The premise for the series hinges around the fact that Joe Exotic was accused of plotting to murder animal rights activist Carole Baskin. Carole Baskin. She's in a Meg Thee Stallion song. Not as a feature. She's not rapping on it, but Meg Thee Stallion has a song and she says something. It's like Carrie like Carole Baskin or something like that. Okay. So Carole Baskin, who had been trying to expose concerning practices at his GW Zoo in Oklahoma, taking to her YouTube channel with her catchphrase, "Hello all you cool cats and kittens," Baskin had been campaigning to have commercial cub petting banned in the US, targeting Exotic's lucrative traveling shows since as far back as 2009, prompting a vicious feud between the two. In 2019, Exotic was convicted on 17 federal charges of animal abuse and 2 counts of attempted murder for hire. Oh my god, and he got a show? Things start getting murky when Exotic responds to accusations of murder plot by hurling similar claims at the very woman he was planning the murder of. He took to YouTube to tout conspiracy theories accusing Baskin of killing her husband Don Lewis, who disappeared in 1997 and was declared legally dead in 2002. Baskin was never named as a suspect, and Exotic offered no evidence beyond the claim itself, but that didn't stop him from going after Baskin with the theory. Oh my god, imagine if your husband dies and then this man who is treating, literal wildlife big cats like it's a fucking Build-A-Bear tries to tell you that you killed your husband when he seriously just died. You're hurting my feelings, Joe. Anyway, I'm gonna read, gay? It's coming back to me. It's coming. It's all coming back. It's all coming back to me now. Joe Exotic is gay and he's polyamorous as well, right? I will say this show definitely did give some representation to underrepresented groups. Is it good representation? Probably not, but I don't really know of a lot of gay polyamorous people on TV. That's not even in I Love LA. Okay, next thing I have on the list, this isn't necessarily pop culture, but I feel like it kind of bleeds into, a lot of social media memes and stuff like that. Just the general Zoom takeover that happened in 2020, right? So I was in college during the pandemic, or during, the very beginning of the pandemic. Zoom, it was almost like a teleportation device of sorts, where you are taking the classroom and bringing it to my twin size mattress, right? It's a bit of a double-edged sword, because on the one hand, I don't have to get up or change or really activate my mind in any way to attend class. But what good is attending class if I'm able to sleep through it without any repercussion? Teachers, I have to commend you, because being a professor or teacher through a Zoom class where you're trying to, I think it's hard to inspire students and motivate students when you can't even see their faces, right? Who here is feeling moved? I can't really tell, because let's just say a gray square, it's not really, it's hard to say if anything is really being evoked. Little fun fact about me and Zoom, one time I was in my general nursing class and I was singing to myself. I can't remember what I was singing. It was a song that was, maybe it was that one song, "You so fucking precious when you smile." That song? And I got many texts at the same time saying, "Emily, you're unmuted." So basically, I serenaded a class of what, maybe 70? And I think the teacher was not starting class yet because I was singing and she was politely waiting for me to be finished. Another time I was doing a group presentation over Zoom about, I don't know, something nursing related, diabetic necrosis or something. And it was my turn to speak. And all of a sudden I hear this like banging noise. It almost kind of sound like a hard slapping noise. And you know how when somebody is making noise and they're unmuted, their thing will light up and like there will be the green box around them to kind of show everyone, hey, this is who's making the noise. This is who's speaking right now. And all of a sudden, this girl goes full screen on my screen and she is fucking chopping carrots. She's chopping carrots during my presentation. Sorry, what I'm saying is not interesting enough. Huh? You're making a curry over here. Meanwhile, I'm trying to educate our peers about diabetic necrosis. I also had an acting class over Zoom. And, you know, acting classes, if you've ever been in one, there is always a hint of ridiculousness and humiliation because that's honestly a lot of what it takes to be an actor. And there was something even more ridiculous about it. On Zoom, you would think that because you're not in front of anyone else, that it wouldn't feel as bad. But there is something about stacking a bunch of boxes and books on top of each other so that you can put your laptop on it so it can be eye level with you, and you're supposed to pretend you're a plant in the wind, and you're doing that alone in your room. Next thing I have for 2020, toilet paper apocalypse. People needed to wipe their asses hard, apparently, right? During this time, everyone was very hyper fixated on having enough toilet paper. Like, you know, COVID is a respiratory thing and not a stomach bug, right? But then again, when I had COVID, I was coughing so hard. Yeah, I could have shit myself. And I get it, right? Just because we're spending a lot of time inside doesn't mean I want a dirty ass, right? But the thing is, okay, yes, I do want toilet paper. I recognize that. And I'm prideful of it. But do I need to hoard enough toilet paper to be able to hold a Met Gala for mummies within my household? Not really. People were really concerned. They were buying dozens of 24 packs of 2-ply toilet paper, separating the ply so that they doubled their amount, right? And then they were, designating an amount of squares for each member of the family. Listen, little Timmy, you have less surface area of your little behind, right? So you can have about 3 squares. Bertha, you're the matriarch of the household. We're working with a little bit more here. And we know that you have IBS. We are designating you a maximum of 8 squares. Next thing I have written down, Vanessa Hudgens Instagram Live. Right. Nessa, listen, Nessa, you need to log out of your Insta. I think this is another installation of celebrities, showing their out of touchness in a way, right? It certainly wasn't Vanessa's peak, I can tell you that. Her peak was Sneaker Night. She should do a rendition of, what she should have done is a COVID version of Sneaker Night, right? So basically what we're gonna do is die. Yeah, that's right, it's inevitable. The thing is, okay, sure, I suppose you're not wrong, but you don't need to say it with that tone, okay? Hang on, let me look up the video.
Vanessa Hudgens under fire for making insensitive comments amid the coronavirus outbreak. It all started when the High School Musical actress did an Instagram Live with fans on...
I'm sorry, me doing this instead of editing in the... Sorry, guys. Like I said, it's a chit-chat casual video.
Monday, and seemingly responded to a fan who asked if she thought the effects of the disease would last till July.
Yeah, till July sounds like a bunch of bullshit. I'm sorry. But, it's a virus. I get it. I respect it. But at the same time,
I respect it. Girl, you do your thing. Miss Corona, you do your thing. Anna Karenina.
even if everybody gets it, like, yeah, people are gonna die. It's just terrible, but, like, inevitable? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this right now.
Ooh, girl. Okay, yeah. I don't know why. Her tone is almost reminding me of if your friend is trying to parallel park and she accidentally backs into a car and she's like, oh my God, like, what do I do? And she's kind of like, well, I don't really know. I guess you leave your insurance. Like, I don't know. There's something about it where it's like, so this is actually like a bigger deal. And maybe, I mean, I guess in her defense, it was early days. Listen, it's early days in the villa. We didn't know that it was going to be as bad as it was. However, still insensitive. I definitely understand why people were upset. Staying on theme with famous people disappointing us, the Hollywood influencer super spreader parties, right? The Hollywood influencer super spreader parties. Guys, I understand that we are supposed to be socially distancing for the sake of literally saving other people's lives, but have you considered how the influencers felt? Have you thought about the fact that doing coke alone just isn't the same as doing it in a big house surrounded by a bunch of people who won't even talk to you unless you can give them something in return? I feel like the interesting thing about these influencer parties, first of all, it's like I am an influencer. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would think of me that way. I don't, because I don't really think I'm in, like, I think I'm a content creator, which is, it almost has, should I say this? I was going to say that when I get called an influencer, it almost feels like calling a blonde person Aryan, where it's like, you're right, but they're also just blonde, you know? I feel like I am, in a way, a part of this world, but at the same time, I'm not, because I'm so solitary and I just don't have a lot of influencer friends. And whenever I go to these like events or whatever, I feel very like a little awkward and insecure. Hey, wait, actually, this is besides the point. This tangent doesn't even matter. The point is, it's interesting being in the same realm as these people who I feel so disconnected to. It's like having over 1 million followers on TikTok. You know, you arrive, what is that thing? 2 roads divide at a yellow wood when you have over 1 million followers on TikTok. You can stay in your room and film yourself talking to only yourself, or you can go to a Hollywood influencer super spreader party and basically you guys might as well be coughing in each other's faces. And the thing about attending these influencer parties is that, you know, there are some things you can do to mitigate or soften a cancellation when you're in the public eye, it seems to me. A lot of that stems from owning yourself as being ignorant or unaware, right? I didn't know he was a minor. I didn't know that was a slur, right? But this doesn't really apply to this situation. I'm sorry, what are you going to say? I'm sorry, I didn't know that there was a global worldwide pandemic going on. Get a hold of yourself. Oh, COVID? What's that? I've never heard of that. Yeah, that's not gonna work, babe. Just say that your desire to party outweighed the desire to be a good person, right? And obviously the trade-off is worth it, because at least then you get to stand around some random person's house with a red Solo cup in your hand and you kind of bob your head like this and look around. I'd say that's worth it. Elon Musk and Grimes announced baby name. Yeah, this was a doozy, because what the hell are you talking about? So I'm gonna put the name on screen so you can see it, and apparently it's supposed to be pronounced X-A12. X-A12 is the name of their firstborn. Which is interesting. I'll say when I first saw the name being announced, celebrities aren't necessarily known for naming their babies normal things, but this is beyond that. You know, when I first saw those, you know, characters in succession, I thought that the name was going to be something like, you know, come to your room. But I guess Elon Musk, like, he's just such a jackass. He's not even, it's like he's a celebrity, but he's not a celebrity in the Hollywood way. The Hollywood celebrities, they're naming their kids stuff like Conduit, barrier. You know, they're naming their Macintosh, you know, stuff like that. Elon, he's got to do his whole own other thing where, you know, his kid's name, it's like you have to give it to a software engineer to understand how it's pronounced. I will say with that kid, it might be one of the first times that a teacher is messing up a white boy's name during attendance. It's not exactly a Ben or a Jake. Next thing for 2020, WAP was released. Now, witnessing this cultural moment in real time was amazing. I remember watching that music video and thinking to myself, and this is not even me being self-limiting, this is me being in touch with reality, right? There are some skills that are out of reach for me, and then there are some skills that can just never be attained. I would sooner be able to become a helicopter pilot than to be able to move my ass like that. And I know some people, my girlfriend always says this to me. She's like, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. I believe in you, babe. You can do it. And I don't, like, there's people who have my body stature and are able to, like Lisa from Blackpink, like, yes, she's very skinny, but she's still able to move her hips in a certain way. But if I were to try and do that, if I were to try and twerk, yeah, let's just say I'd be turning a couple heads in the club because they're going to be thinking, what the fuck is going on over there? And, you know, hearing those lyrics for the first time, I just know that the writing process for that was a hoot, a holler, and then some. I mean, how many innuendos can we possibly think of? We need to name all these. I have never in my life heard of a neener be referred to as a Big Mac truck and then a Vagiana Grande be called a little garage. Little garage. And I also love the idea of, you know, when if you're serenading WAP to perhaps like a lover and they have a penis, right? Adjusting the lyrics so that it matches their size, right? So say maybe they're a little bit smaller and there's no shame in that, right? What's that saying? It's like, it's not the size of the ship, it's the move of the ocean or whatever. You say, instead of, I want you to park that Big Mac truck in this little garage, you say, I want you to park that mid-size sedan in this little garage. I want you to park that Mini Cooper in this little garage. And say maybe they're like long, but they're not very like girthy, right? I want you to park that limousine right in this little garage. So was that really explicit? It's okay. I'm a grown woman, so. Next thing. Go Piss Girl was born. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Now, given that it's been 5 years, is this meme past its prime? Sure. But no amount of time can you know, get rid of her impact. No matter how many years have passed, I'm gonna say this right into the mic. The piss, it's always gonna go, girl. What this meme has given us is an innate response, a reflex, right? Go Piss Girl for a while for me, it was like saying bless you when someone sneezed. Someone says, I gotta go to the bathroom. I can feel it in my throat already. They say, I think I'm gonna get up and go to the bathroom. I feel that, you know how in cartoons when a character gets really angry and starting from the toes and traveling up, almost like ALS, right? That's not a good, I think that's true though, the disease process. I think it starts from the toes up. Sorry. From the toes up, they turn red, right? And you can see it building up inside their body and working their way up. That's how it felt for me. The Go Piss Girl, it's coming. And this really does seem to also be regardless of gender as well for a lot of people, right? You put a Gen Z woman in a room next to a 6'5" bodybuilder and we are at a funeral as well, right? The urge to say Go Piss Girl, it's always going to be there. He's going to say, I'm so sorry, I need to excuse myself. I think I just need to go to the bathroom. Go Piss Girl! And I'm sorry for your loss. Okay, the last thing I have for 2020, and guys, I've been filming for 1 hour and 15 minutes already. I think I'm only going to be able to get through one more year. So if you guys really like this video, comment down below and I'll make another one because there's a lot of material here and just not enough time, right? So this video will be for 2020 and 2021 because it turns out I was far too ambitious. But okay, last thing for 2020. Now, this might be a little niche, but if you don't know about it, oh, I'm about to give you a glorious discovery. Zoop staff Christmas song cover. You need to see this.
The sixth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 6 broccoli cheddar, 5 lobster bisques.
Get her on Broadway now. I need to see 5 lobster bisques live.
4 spicy crab.
4 spicy crab.
3 curry time.
3 curry time.
2 pepper steak.
2 pepper
And
steak.
extra large white chicken chili.
Okay, and then I'm not gonna do that one because she has an accent. It feels like it would be a little bit racial. No. So anyways, okay. So moving on to 2021. Is this a pop culture moment? I think it's more of a historical moment, which then resulted in perhaps some like pop culture moments. The January 6th insurrection. You know, while it isn't a part of pop culture, so to speak, it did add kindling to the fire, which is Twitter. I think for me and a lot of my audience, I would hope, we don't align ourselves with MAGA pretty much at all. What I will say, however, what they lack in empathy and human decency, they make up for in enthusiasm. I do remember seeing a video of someone talking about their experience on January 6th, you know, being there as a supporter, right? And they said, I'm here because I want to be a part of history, right? And, well, I would say that goal was achieved. You definitely will be a part of history, you know, in the way that the Great Depression or radium poisoning is a part of history. There are so many things to address when it comes to the insurrection. First of all, we're still in a global pandemic. I would have loved to see a COVID-conscious Trump supporter there being like, guys, I know we're all really upset, but can we try and keep it 6 feet? Trevor, I know that you're having a hard time right now, but can you keep the mask on? I will say the adrenaline rush was probably crazy. And I bet they had fun. And isn't that the most important part, right? I cannot imagine being a security guard there, seeing all of these red-faced individuals rushing towards me. Like, it feels like the universe is throwing tomatoes at me at this point. But for some reason, these tomatoes can yell and hold a gun. So, next thing for 2021, Squid Game release. What's that? This show was a global phenomenon with many triumphs, Emmy wins, cultural impact, but most importantly, it made every Asian person's comment section a little bit more racist. Yes, so there was a period of time where I would post to TikTok and no matter the subject, I would almost without fail get a comment that just said Squid Game. And I know that there is a lot of history and, resentment, tension, and divide between many ethnic groups of Southeast Asia and East Asia. But one thing that can bring us all together is someone commenting Squid Games under our post. And this particular year, Jung Hoyeon, oh baby, you had everyone in a chokehold. More than a choke, you had them in a roundhouse kick, sternal rub, right? You had them in every which way, every angle, all right? And let's just say her character was predestined to be the most popular because if you take a look at her number, oh, it was written in the stars. There was a point in time where a lot of people were telling me that I looked like her, and while that is kind to hear because obviously she's very hot, stop lying to me. You know, I think that there's some, okay, I think I've talked about this before, where sometimes when someone compares you to like a really, really beautiful celebrity, it's like, that's nice, but come on, you know, it almost feels like you're bullying me in a way, or maybe you're definitely not, you aren't, but the way I'm internalizing it, maybe it's too much self-doubt. Maybe I do look like her. I would never be able to accept those compliments because first of all, I don't look like her. I just don't. And then also, just don't compare me to a supermodel because I think it makes me feel insecure in a way for some reason. Oh, okay, next thing. So there was a GQ article that came out highlighting Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly's relationship, and this sort of set the internet ablaze because they were like, they're strange. So some quotes from this article. MGK and Fox say they really met for the first time in 2020 on the set of an action flick, Midnight in the Switchgrass. But they actually met briefly a few years before that, introduced at a GQ party in LA. This weird thing happened, Fox said. We didn't see each other. She looks at him. Do you remember seeing my face? That's what's crazy. My Machine Gun Kelly impression. Sorry, I have no idea what he sounds like. That's what's crazy, he says. I don't remember your face. I don't remember your face, and I definitely would have remembered his face, she continues. I just remember this tall, blonde, ghostly creature. And I looked up and I was like, you smell like weed. And he looked down at me and he was like, I am weed. Then, I swear to God, he disappeared like a ninja in a smoke bomb. He sent her a couple of text messages, one that said, I am weed, and another that repeated his filthy first line of dialogue to her as if he couldn't believe he'd said those dumb things to Megan Fox the first 2 times they interacted. Fox was charmed. I just responded like, how every fairy tale begins, to which he ended the conversation with, all the good ones at least. So this is very interesting to me, and I feel like a lot of heterosexual relationships sort of have this mindset where I'm like, are you guys okay? So let me continue reading. Fox agrees the relationship has euphoric highs, but it isn't all fun and games. This is a very intense relationship, she says. Our souls chose this, to absolutely have to face our shadow selves. To face things about ourselves that we didn't want to have to know, or that we tried to push away. I say it seems like they have the intensity of a first love. It should be light, but we also go to hell with each other. Oh, sorry. It should be light, but we also go to hell with each other, MGK says. It's ecstasy and agony for sure. I don't want people to think that anything's perfect with us. I didn't say it was the darkest fairy tale for no reason. God help if you would have met us last Saturday. She laughs. Oh, that was Megan. Sorry. There's also the demonic side. She notes, with a devilish smile. Fox only smiles or laughs when she genuinely means it, which makes it feel special when she does. Theirs is a Gomez and Morticia Addams type of love. Right. So I do think since then they have broken up. Okay, so they did break up, but now they're co-parents. I think there's this interesting thing about, they sound pretty toxic, I'll say. I think a healthy relationship, it's not supposed to feel like you are being overtaken by your shadow self and dragged to hell. That's my opinion. Also, at one point in 2021, it came out that Megan had given Mr. Machine, a necklace that had a drop of her blood. So I'm gonna say something, and what is that called? We express and we don't judge, or we talk and we don't judge. Is it bad that I think that is kind of a little cute? I think if my girlfriend gave me a necklace with a drop of her blood in it, I would wear it every day and I would cherish it. Is that okay? But first of all, I love red. It's one of the colors that I look best in. And I wouldn't want just like any piece of jewelry with any sort of bodily fluid, right? Like I don't want like an ear cuff made of your piss, but a necklace not made of your blood, there is a little drop of blood. Like, I'm sorry, blood doesn't gross me out, okay? If you can prick your finger with a lancet so that I can get your blood sugar reading, you can prick your finger with a lancet to make a necklace for me because you love me. If you want to, all right? That's not, in the fine print of whenever I get into a relationship with someone. In the fine print, I make all of my girlfriends sign a contract, actually, where in the fine print it says, by the time we hit a year, I'm gonna need that blood necklace. Okay, next thing in 2021, Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson start dating. So this was really interesting and emphasized that being funny and charming can go a long way when it comes to bagging a baddie. Trust me, I know. I just wonder what it felt like to be Pete Davidson during this era. I'm sure he's talked about it in stand-up. I mean, there's so much material there, but it's like, if I were him, would I be flattered by the general public's reaction? Or would I actually be deeply insulted? Because I feel like if I started dating someone and everyone's reaction was sort of along the lines of, what the fuck is going on here? I guess the laws of nature are more malleable than we first thought. It's kind of like, so what do you mean by that? First of all, I don't think Pete Davidson is ugly. I think that he is like a lot of women's type. Is he my personal type? No. I know, even though I don't date men, I know what my type in men would be. It's like, I guess even as someone who doesn't date men, I know the types of men who I think are visually appealing and would be a lot more open to like making out with or something compared to others. Pete doesn't really fall into that category. And that's just my opinion. And hey, I'm definitely not Pete's type either, and that's totally okay. He strikes me as someone who's a little bit more of a, full bust down IG baddie sort of person, not commentary YouTuber / actress who has yet to break out. But then, the flattering side is sort of, okay, since I'm not like the best looking guy ever, and I'm able to get these gorgeous girls, that gives you an allure. That almost it gets people thinking, what does that guy got going on, right? There's a special ingredient in that soup that only the girls know about because they're taking a slurp, you know what I mean? And I think when these neutral looking guys get these really hot, sexy girls, the way I said it, these hot, sexy girls, it makes people think he has something. And I think it makes other girls curious about that person as well. It's the same. There is this guy who is, with all due respect, but also not, because I think he was caught cheating on some of these girls, the most neutral looking guy ever, who dated Madison Beer. And it makes people think like, okay, so either this guy is extremely charming, rich, is good at sex, whatever, or all of these girls just have poor taste. I guess that's a possibility too. Next thing I have for 2021, Nicki Minaj COVID vaccine swollen testicles tweet. So Nicki Minaj tweeted, and I quote, "My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married and now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision. Not bullied." So I have no further comment on that. Nicki stans, put your weapons down. The only thing I have to say about that is if your marriage is on such thin ice that the weight of a few swollen balls is enough to break said ice, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have been getting married. Next thing I have written down, John Mulaney and Olivia Munn had a baby. Now listen, I'm not here to say whether John Mulaney is a good guy or a bad guy. People are allowed to fall out of love. The only people who know what was going on in their relationship is him and Anna, his ex-wife, right? However, what I will say, of course, if I were Anna, I would be sick. Anyone would. And listen, Anna, outside of her marriage with John Mulaney, seems to be like a talented writer and artist in her own right, and she shouldn't be constantly tied to this thing that happens to so many couples, right? People break up all the time. However, what I will say is that this event for me This happened when I was in my deeply, deeply cynical era. And it basically was the reassurance I needed to tell myself, yeah, it's a good thing that I'm swearing off love because look at what's going on out there. There's chaos going on out there, and I'm sitting inside, looking out from my window, sipping on my hot cocoa, gulping down some marshmallows and thinking, thank God that's not me. Because it really is so scary. It's not necessarily wrong, but it is scary that someone can, publicly be praising you, singing your high praises like they are in the church choir and love you so openly and seemingly in a real way, and then they can still end up being the father to another person's child. You're joking. And I don't want people to misconstrue this because, I'm in a relationship right now. I feel very happy and secure in my relationship, and I love my girlfriend so much, and I know that she loves me. But, of course, there is, just with anything, and I don't know, maybe this sounds anti-romantic of me, I have to understand that she can change her mind, and, there's just nothing I can do about that. It's crazy that being in love essentially means giving someone the power to destroy you from the inside out, right? Most people in this world have gone through a breakup and experienced heartbreak. That shit will have you lying down on the kitchen floor and that's all that's on the agenda for your day. Going through that in the public eye and then having to see not only is your relationship in the public eye, but then your ex's future relationship is also in the public eye. So then you have to see in the Hollywood Reporter my ex just went to an expensive French restaurant with a famous actress and she's pregnant. I'm blowing this popsicle stand. Because putting myself in another person's place where they are in a situation like that, I'm imagining me and my girlfriend break up. And a year, 2 years later, I find out that she is the mother to someone else's child. That evokes feelings in me that I can only describe as crime committing. So yeah, being in love honestly is an act of bravery. And I don't say that lightly. Being in love is basically giving someone a big red button that says kill on it, and you're just trusting that they won't press it. Next thing on the list for 2021, father on Twitter has his daughter struggle with a can opener for 6 hours, tweets about the experience, subsequently gets flamed. So in case you guys don't remember, or perhaps you're a normal person and not chronically online, so you don't know what the Bean Dad debacle is, let me inform or remind you. So basically, this guy, his daughter is hungry and wants beans. Beans, nothing but beans, right? And she has to use the can opener, but she doesn't know how to use it. The dad basically says to himself, oh, this is a teaching moment. I'm not going to tell her how to use it, but I'm going to maybe explain the different parts of the can opener so that she can figure it out herself. I'm just going to read a portion of the thread because it is a very long thread. It's 10 or 12 tweets long or something. But for context, this guy's daughter is 9 years old and hungry, okay? I said, the tool is made to be pleasing, but it doesn't have any superfluous qualities. Everything that moves does so for a reason. Superfluous, I'm sure that is something that's very common in the vernacular of a 9-year-old. She said, I hate you. I'm sure she believes that she does. I said, you understand everything except how the tool addresses the can. She sighed. Why are we talking like Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda, right? You understand everything except how the tool addresses the can. My bean-desiring daughter. At this point, she said, I don't want baked beans, and marched off. Apocalypse Dad went into full the road mode. Sweetheart, neither of us will eat another bite today until we get into this can of beans. She screamed, ah! Like Lucy Van Pelt. She read a book for a while. Soon she was back at the can, the top was all dented now, the lip of the can practically serrated from failed attempts. We studied the tool some more. She really wanted it to be oriented up and down or across the top of the can. The sideways orientation is very counterintuitive. So this guy says, we will not be eating a bite of sustenance today until you figure out this can opener. And this basically had Twitter in flames. People found this dad to be, they were like, you're negligent. People were getting triggered because it reminded them of their own like parents who had like I guess like emotionally abusive tendencies toward them. So it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And here's the thing. I understand trying to encourage curiosity and problem solving within your child. However, once we get to the point where a 30-second task is reaching the 2-hour mark, let alone 6 hours, sweetie, we're gonna have to expedite. I mean, God forbid we're having Thanksgiving dinner at this guy's house and then his daughter says, Dad, how do I put together this IKEA dining table? And now we're not gonna eat until next week. You know, we might as well keep the grace going. Might want to name a couple more things we're thankful for because we might be here a while. What I will say, you know, in slight defense of the bean dad, right now with the rise of AI and all of that stuff and how children are like not able to read, maybe we need a little bit of this energy in the household, right? I'd rather have someone like who has the tendency of being dad in a non-abusive way than a parent who's like, just ask ChatGPT. You know? Unfortunately, I do think the former might be a little bit better for the child's neural synapses. Okay, last thing I have for 2021. Woman puts Gorilla Glue in her hair.
Well, I didn't have any more Got to Be glue spray, so I used this. Gorilla Glue spray. Bad idea.
Now, this woman went viral because of her situation. And I remember when I first saw this, I was thinking to myself, dear God, let this be sort of a, girl who ate her own tampon sort of situation where I need this to be a hoax for the sake of everyone involved. Unfortunately, it did turn out to be real. I honestly cannot imagine the monumental, heavy on the shoulders, oh shit moment she must have had when she realized that the top of her head felt like a granite countertop, right? However, what I will say, if you are going to get your hair stuck into place with, a pretty large amount of Gorilla Glue hairspray, at least she looks good. You know what I mean? At least her hair is stuck in a cute style because God forbid that was the hairspray you used when you were on your way to like a metal rock themed karaoke night. Now I'm gonna have a spiky mohawk for the next 9 months. And I guess if you ever need to glue something together in the future, you can know that the spray you got, although it might be traumatic to have that in your hand again, you know that it works, right? It is crazy. She literally had to get it medically removed, right? Imagine if I took my bangs, right? And I Gorilla Glued it like this and made a spike and I headbutt someone, they would be dead. I would have given them a lobotomy. That is how strong that Gorilla Glue hairspray seemed. Yep. That's like the end of the video, actually. So I talked about 2020, 2021. I actually don't know how long this video is going to be, but if I had gone all the way up until 2025, this video would have been 2.5 hours long. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you liked me talking about just like random things that have gone viral or whatever, this sort of just like chit-chatty video about this specific topic, let me know. I can always do a rundown of some of the other years as well. I have a lot written down. And then, gosh, if we got to the point where we were talking about the 2010s, oh baby. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed watching. Thank you. I hope that if you like boba or artisanal tea, I hope that you get a really good, like, sweet, fun drink. If you don't like those things, maybe you're not Chinese. Then I hope you just have, like, refreshing water or juice or something. Anyway, yes. Yeah. Okay. Until next time.